Please, all the participants, please mute your audio and video. Please, please participant, mute your audio and video. Participant, please wait for 1 minute. Please, all the participants, please mute your mic. This all participants requested to don't present and mute your mic.
ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಆಡಿಯೋ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇದೆ. Good morning all. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to
a webinar on
Ek Bharat Shreshth
organized
Bharat,
by the
which is being organized by the Field Outreach
Bureau
Bureau,
Information
Digital Information and Government of India
Government of
in
India in
association
association with Poornaprajna College and
Poornaprajna
Post
College
Center
and
Udupi.
Social Center.
As we all know that
As we
India
all know
is
that
a
this is a
culturally
cultural
pluralist society. It's a melting pot of and caste,
different caste,
tribe, linguistic, ethnic,
religious,
and other types of groups. The initiative Ek Bharat Shreshth Bharat was issued by Honorable Prime Minister on 31st October 2015 on the occasion of the 140th birthday anniversary of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. The main motive in organization this webinar is to bring in the cultural integration of the country as a part of vision to build a new India. On this occasion, we have with us His Holiness Sri Sri Vishwapriya Tirtha Swamiji, President, Udupi Kumar Mutt Education Council, Udupi. On this occasion, I would like to recall the help extended by Dr. G.S. Chandrasekhar, Honorable Secretary, PCMC Udupi, and Sri Pradeep Kumar, Honorable Treasurer, PCMC Udupi. Inaugurator of the webinar, Professor M. Balasubramaniam, Director, South Zone Cultural Center, Government of India, Ministry of Cultural, Tanjavuru, Tamil Nadu. Introduction of the webinar, Dr. T.C. Poornima, IIS, Deputy Director, Nodal Officer, Field Outreach Bureau, Mangaluru, Mysore. Chief guest, Professor Rachana Nautiyal, Joint Project Director, RUSA EBSB Nodal Officer, Department of Higher Education, Uttarakhand. Shrikant R, Nodal Officer, EBSB, Office of the Commissioner, Department of Collegiate Education, Government of Karnataka. Resource person, Professor Anil K. Joshi and Professor Lokesh K.M. and Dr. Raghavendra A., Principal, Poornaprajna College. Let us now begin the program by invoking the blessing of the God.
त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ Shanti Shanti Shanti.
I request
our beloved principal, Dr. Raghavendra, to welcome all the participants.
Good morning, everyone. At the outset, I would like to bow my head before Lord Krishna and Mukhya Prana, seeking blessings from His Holiness Shri Shri Vishwapriya Tirtha Swamiji, President of Advamat Education Council, which runs 38 institutions across India. Also the President of Poornaprajna College Managing Committee. I feel it proud to welcome you all to this webinar on the topic Ek Bharat Shreshth Bharat. Under this program, today we have exchange of our culture and history between Karnataka, state of Karnataka and state of Uttarakhand. We have with us the President of Budwork Advamat Education Council, His Holiness Shri Shri Vishwapriya Tirtha Swamiji, who will be blessing the occasion.
Audio check pantella.
On behalf of all the audience, I would like to extend a warm welcome to His Holiness. Welcome, Swamiji. We have with us today Dr. P.C. Poornima, Deputy Director and Nodal Officer of Field Outreach Bureau, Mangalore and Mysore section. I would like to extend warm welcome to you, ma'am. Welcome you. We have with us Professor M. Balasubramanian, Director, South Zone Cultural Center, Ministry of Culture, Tanjavur, Government of India. Welcome you, sir. I would like to welcome Professor Rachana Nautia, Joint Director, Joint Project Director of RUSA and Nodal Officer, Department of Higher Education, State of Uttarakhand. Welcome, welcome, ma'am. I would like to welcome Sri Srikant R, the Nodal Officer, Office of Commissioner. Welcome you, sir. I would like to welcome Dr. Ananthi Dikshit, Principal, MKP PG College, Dehradun, Uttarakhand. And also I would like to welcome all the staff members and students of the college. On behalf of Poornaprajna College, I extend a warm welcome to you all. I would like to welcome Dr. Shashi Purohit, Principal, Indira Priyadarshini Government Girls PG College of Commerce. I would like to also welcome the staff members and students of this college. I would like to welcome Dr. Chandra, Principal of RH Government PG College, Kashipur, Uttarakhand. I would like to welcome all the staff members and students of this college. I would also like to welcome Shri Rohit GS from Field Outreach Bureau, Ministry of I&B, Government of India. On behalf of Poornaprajna College Managing Committee and Poornaprajna College, I would like to welcome today's resource persons, Professor Anil K. Joshi from Uttarakhand and Professor Lokesh K.M. from Karnataka. Anil K. Joshi is from Department of History, Kumar University, Almora. Professor Lokesh Department of Studies in History, Mangalore University, Karnataka. I would like to welcome all the audience who have joined us today, all the staff members, department officials. On behalf of Poornaprajna College, I would like to welcome one and all. Thank you.
Now I request His Holiness Sri Sri Vishwapriyatika Swamiji to bless us all on this occasion.
प्रथमो हनुमान नाम द्वितीयः भीम एव च पूर्णप्रज्ञः तृतीयस्तु भगवत्कार्यसाधकः श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हमारा प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ऐसा घोषणा किए, एक भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत। हम कर्नाटक वाले हूँ, हम मलयाली हूँ, ऐसा भाषा के बारे में आजकल दिन में हम झगड़ा कर रहे हैं। इसलिए क्या होता है, हमारा देश, हम तो आपस में झगड़ा कर रहे हैं सिर्फ भाषा के बारे में। इसलिए हमारा देश डे बाय डे पूर्ण होता है। एक गाता है हमारा कर्नाटक में, मैं तो कर्नाटक भाषा में ही बोलूंगा। हमारा जो यही है वे तो अंग्रेजी में या हिंदी में ट्रांसलेट करते हैं। गंड हेंडिर जगड़दल्ली कूसु बड़वाइतु, ऐसा एक गाथा। पति पत्नी आपस में लड़ाई करते ही रहेंगे तो नष्ट तो बच्चों को होता है। ऐसा ही हमारा देश को नुकसान होता है हम भाषा के बारे में जो लड़ाई कर रहे हैं। परंतु अलग अलग भाषा ही होना, अलग अलग संस्कृति ही होना, ऐसा अलग अलग है तो ही वहाँ ब्यूटीफुल होता है, अच्छा होता है। एक एग्जाम्पल दूंगा, एक गार्लैंड है, पुष्पमाला है। पुष्पमाला में एक वर्ण का पुष्प है तो उस पुष्पमाला को देखने के लिए अच्छा ऐसा नहीं होता है। परंतु पुष्पमाला में अलग अलग कलर का पुष्प होता है तो यद्यपि पुष्प अलग अलग कलर का है, पुष्प अलग अलग कलर पुष्प का अलग अलग हम तो रहेंगे तो वह तो फिर अच्छा नहीं होता। क्या करना, ये माला करना। माला जोड़ने से भी बहुत बुद्धिमत्ता होना चाहिए। बीच बीच में एक कलर का एक साइड में और दूसरा कलर का दूसरा साइड में, ऐसा नहीं। बीच बीच में अलग अलग कलर का हम पुष्प को जोड़ते जोड़ते माला करेंगे तो उस माला देखने के लिए अच्छा होता है ना। वह तो इतना ब्यूटीफुल होता है ना। इसलिए ऐसा ही अलग अलग भाषा होना चाहिए, अलग अलग कास्ट भी होना चाहिए। परंतु कास्ट में लेकर हमारा भाषा को लेकर हम झगड़ा करेंगे तो ऐसा अच्छा नहीं होता है। इसको मन में रखकर हमारा प्रधानमंत्री, अच्छा प्रधानमंत्री, ये भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत, साउथ इंडिया या नॉर्थ इंडिया या वेस्ट इंडिया ऐसा नहीं होना हो, परंतु मन में नहीं हो, केवल साउथ इंडिया नॉर्थ इंडिया ऐसा बात में ही होना, मन में तो नहीं होना। इसलिए हमारा प्रधानमंत्री सरदार वल्लभ भाई पटेल को जन्म 140 जन्मदिन के अनुसार तो हमारा, हम तो कन्नड़ में ही मैं कहूँगा तो वल्लभ भाई पटेल तो उक्किन मनुष्य, ऐसा इतना सामर्थ्य उसमें, तो मैं मन में ऐसा होता है सोचते वह सरल, फिर नरेंद्र मोदी के जैसे फिर हमारा देश आया हो, मन तो हमारा प्रधानमंत्री में भी इतना सामर्थ्य बहुत लोग में है, परंतु धैर्य नहीं है। हमारा प्रधानमंत्री में धैर्य भी है, सामर्थ्य भी है। सो इसलिए हम सब अभी तो आजकल दिन में तो आज का प्रोग्राम ऐसा है, कर्नाटक और उत्तरांचल, कर्नाटक और उत्तराखंड। एक एग्जाम्पल, कर्नाटक में अब तो हम लोग परहैप्स हिमालय जाने वाले हैं, भी बद्रीनाथ टेम्पल है, केदारनाथ टेम्पल है, वही भी हम अब आते जाते ही रहते हैं ना। यह कर्नाटक आएंगे तो वह पूजा करने के लिए शर्ट पहनना नहीं, बैन है शर्ट, परंतु बद्री में पूजा करने वाले, केदार में पूजा करने वाले शर्ट धारण करके ही पूजा करते हैं। वह उत्तरांचल का संस्कृति ऐसा है, हमारा कर्नाटक का संस्कृति ऐसा है, परंतु पूरा संस्कृति को जोड़ते 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 हम ऑलवेज रोज हमारा भारत एक भारत, हमारा भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत, इसके लिए यह प्रोग्राम अच्छी हो, मैं भगवान से प्रार्थना करूंगा। धन्यवाद।
I pronounce to Swamiji for your enlightened talk. Now I request Dr. T.C. Poornaprajna, Deputy Director, Nodal Officer, Field Outreach Bureau, Mangaluru, Mysore, to introduce the topic of the webinar.
सभी लोगों को प्रणाम करती हूँ। हमारे पूज्य स्वामी जी का ब्लेसिंग्स मांगते हुए मैं डॉक्टर टी.सी. पूर्णिमा, फील्ड आउटरीच ब्यूरो मैंगलोर, वैसे ही मैसूर का भी चार्ज रखते हुए इस एक भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत वेबिनार कार्यक्रम को आप सभी लोगों को मेरी तरफ से, हमारे कार्यनिरत लोगों की तरफ से आदर स्वागत करती हूँ। I deem it an extreme pleasure to welcome you all to this webinar, where we try to explore the similarities and the glory of two wonderful states of India. One is Karnataka, the other one is Uttarakhand. Friends, today we have organized a webinar on the theme Ek Bharat Shreshth Bharat, as you all know, in collaboration with Poornaprajna College and Post-Graduation Center and Department of Collegiate Education and other stakeholders, to enlighten ourselves about the similarities between these two states. ये एक भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत जो महत्वाकांक्षी योजना है, कई लोगों के मन में एक प्रश्न उठता है कि एक भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत अभियान का महत्व क्या है। वैसे ही भारत एक है, अखंड है, और वैसे ही ये श्रेष्ठ भी है। ये फिर से बताने का क्या मौजूद है। मुझे ये महसूस होता है कि हमारे भारत अखंड भरत खंड जो है वो तो एक है, श्रेष्ठ है, मानना चाहिए, मगर हमारे देशवासियों के बारे में सोचा तो कि हम लोग दूसरे संस्कृति को, इस देश में ये बहुसंस्कृतिक देश है, इसका दूसरे संस्कृति को कितना जानते हैं। हम इस देश में रहते हैं, मगर हमारे नेबरहुड में रहने वाले लोगों का संस्कृति, भाषा, खाद्य, आसन वसन जो है उसको हम अच्छी तरह से, ठीक तरह से जानते तक भी नहीं है। इस वजह से ये जानकारी देने के लिए वजह से और परस्पर कल्चरल एक्सचेंज करने के लिए, इसकी वजह से हम एक भारत और ये श्रेष्ठ भारत जो है उसका अभियान का शुरुआत किया गया है। भारतीय संस्कृति का विरासत जो है उसका अनावरण करने का ये मौका हमें मिला है। हमारे मंगलूर यूनिट की तरफ से हम आज ये लेना चाहते हैं कि उत्तराखंड और कर्नाटक का खाद्य पदार्थ हम जो खाते हैं उसके बारे में कितना साम्यता है और वैरुध्य है उसको भी जानना चाहिए। और हमारे आसन वसन का हम जो पहनते हैं ना उसके बारे में कुछ जाना है। हम हर एक यूनिट ऐसा काम करते हैं, एक भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत का वेबिनार करते रहे हैं। हम तो कल्चरल एस्पेक्ट्स को देख चुके हैं। हम तो डांस देखा, ड्रामा देखा और हम सिंगिंग देखा, म्यूजिक देखा, सारे देखा, मगर हमारे मैंगलोर यूनिट की तरफ से एक अलग चीज को हम देखने वाले हैं। ये दोनों स्टेट्स के बीच में क्या क्या साम्यता है, खाने में, पीने में, पहनने में, ऐसा दूसरे परिचय हम लेना चाहिए। इसीलिए ये वेबिनार में आप सभी लोग आ चुके हैं। बहुत धन्यवाद है आप लोग आने के। और इस वेबिनार को इनॉग्रेट करने वाले he is none other than the director of the South Zone Cultural Center जो है तांजूर में, उधर का डायरेक्टर हिमसेल्फ भी आए हैं। साउथ जोन का ये तो कल्चरल टूर को लीड करने वाले लोग होते हैं। So we are really grateful to you, Professor Balasubramaniam sir, for having been with us today to inaugurate this माहौल का। बहुत अच्छा लगता है कि आप जैसा लोग आके हमारे कल्चरल इंफॉर्मेशन जो है उसका एक्सचेंज करने में आप भागी है और इसका नेतृत्व भी ले चुके हैं। इसके लिए आपको हम फील्ड आउटरीच ब्यूरोस और हमारा रीजनल आउटरीच ब्यूरो है बैंगलोर में, उसी के तरफ से आपको मुबारक दे रहे हैं। ऐसे ही हमारे बीच में है श्रीमती रचना नौटियाल और डॉक्टर अनिल जोशी, उत्तराखंड की तरफ से आकर हमें उधर का सारे इंफॉर्मेशन देने वाले हैं। और हमारे कर्नाटक की तरफ से रिसोर्स पर्सन और श्रीकांत और प्रोफेसर लोकेश, ये दोनों भी मौजूद है। इन लोगों को भी हम धन्यवाद देते हैं क्योंकि हमारे ये महोत्सव जो है, ये वेबिनार जो है वो तो बहुत यशस्वी मान गए। और पूर्णप्रज्ञा कॉलेज, कॉलेजिएट एजुकेशन के सभी अधिकारीगण और इतने लोग पार्टिसिपेंट्स है अभी तक, सारे लोगों को हमारे टूटे में आमंत्रित करते हुए, स्वागत करते हुए इस वेबिनार बहुत अच्छा रहे और सभी को बहुत जानकारी भी दी। हम सब खुश हो जाइए इसी के जरिए, ऐसा बता के मैं मेरा इंट्रोडक्टरी नोट को पूर्ण करती हूँ। थैंक यू।
Thank you, madam. Now I request Professor M. Balasubramaniam, Director, South Zone Cultural Center, Government of India, Minister of Cultural, Tanjavuru, Tamil Nadu, to inaugurate the program and address the gathering. Sir, over to you.
नमस्कार। ओम गुरुभ्यो नमः। Good morning to one and all. To His Holiness Swamiji, all the dignitaries who will be presenting their views in this webinar, Ek Bharat Shreshth Bharat, the cultural relations between the two major states of India, that is Uttarakhand and Karnataka. I'm happy to be attending this webinar organized by the Field Outreach Bureau, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Government of India, Mangaluru, in association with Poornaprajna College Postgraduate Center, Udupi. We have with us the panelists who are all well-known orators, speakers, and educationists who have been working on various aspects relating to our Indian heritage and culture. We all know that under the dynamic leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister of India, the Ek Bharat Shreshth Bharat scheme has been getting tremendous response. When I say response, it is not any publicity what we are just aiming at. It is the real truth, and every citizen of India are bound to know the cultural importance and historical importance and the values of the heritage of our great nation. The government of India, with various ministries joining together, has put forward a lot of schemes under Ek Bharat Shreshth Bharat. The Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, the Ministry of Culture, and other ministries are organizing different webinars in different states to be benefited for the coming generations and the youth especially. When I look into the aspect of Ek Bharat Shreshth Bharat, as rightly pointed out by Madam when she was mentioning, everyone know Ek Bharat Shreshth Bharat, but the cultural diversity is very rich, which has to be brought to each and everyone. The education system, now we know the national education policy announced by the government of India. What is the idea behind having this education policies, academic, cultural, all put together? As a person from the cultural ministry, we have seen what is the importance given to cultural studies in the present national education policy. That movement we will have to really appreciate, because any child studying maybe in the 3rd standard, even I can say the LKG, will know what is the value of our Indian culture and heritage. The South Zone Culture Center is an autonomous body under the Ministry of Culture, Government of India. The South Zone Culture Center is stationed at the temple town of Tanjavur, and it is headed by the chairman is the Honorable Governor of Tamil Nadu, Sri Banwarilal Purohitji. All the guidelines by the ministry from time to time is taken into consideration by South Zone Culture Center. We all know the government has given the paired states. Now we have under the South Zone Cultural Center, the southern region, we have few states linked. I would like to present for your information, that is Uttarakhand and Karnataka, Jammu Kashmir, Ladakh with Tamil Nadu, Punjab with Andhra Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh with Kerala, Haryana, Telangana, Puducherry, Daman Diu, Lakshadweep, Andaman and Nicobar. Now, the guidelines what we are following is basically for enlightening the youth, especially I would say, to know more about the great Indian heritage and cultural patronage of this great nation. The South Zone Culture Center is in the process of organizing various programs under Ek Bharat Shreshth Bharat. I would like to highlight few programs which the paired states will have when we do such webinar, because as you all know, the present situation, we will be able to do these programs only on digital platform. And this is the right example. And another thing what I would say is that educational institution is the backbone of projecting and preserving our Indian heritage and culture. Today, this college, Prajna College we have, with the college we have tied up for this program under the joint auspices, we are having this webinar. This is also a great initiative taken by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. Now the directions, we are planning to have various schemes highlighting the aspects of life in paired states. For example, we can take the language, tourism, culture, geography, history, festivals, lifestyle, even wildlife and architecture styles. This is very important to know something from Karnataka, from Uttarakhand, to give and exchange their views, to know more about both the states. Likewise, the paired states, when we take all together, the total knowledge what we are transforming to the younger generation is a great achievement. Now, we also try to incorporate the schemes of state of health, education, economy in the paired states. The students from various academic institutions from the paired states will be the stakeholders for these events. Today, this webinar is going to be a landmark, because I think the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting has taken it very seriously, and all the learned scholars who are participating in this webinar is going to give us a lot of informations and inputs about the two states about which we are talking, that is Uttarakhand and Karnataka. Again, we all know Swachhata. What is Swachhata? That is the most important and the priority what we have to give it in life. And under the Ek Bharat Shreshth Bharat schemes, we are trying to, the Honorable Prime Minister, as you all know, always say, the culture is the life of a person. Like we have, as rightly pointed out by Swamiji, the various traditions in different states. When you go to temple in Uttarakhand, or when you go to a temple in Kerala or Tamil Nadu, we have different set of religious aspects what we are following regarding the dress code, whatever it is. Now, we are looking at having food festivals, which is also a part of culture. Now, Karnataka, as you all know, the food culture, the food habits of Karnataka, again, when we take to Uttarakhand, their food culture, that also everyone should know and understand what is basically the highlights of this food festivals when we organize, like then cultural festival. When you talk about Karnataka, I can go on talking about the great music composers, great kings who have contributed a lot for the importance of culture, music, and I can just give a lot of names also. South Zone Culture Centers priority with Ek Bharat Shreshth Bharat. We will be happy to associate with the administration of Karnataka and Uttarakhand to see that cultural festivals, cultural conferences, interactive programs can be organized, for which South Zone Culture Center will be always available to join hands with the Information and Broadcasting Ministry and also with the educational institutions in Uttarakhand and Karnataka. We have been associating with Manjunadeshwara Trust. We have been organizing festivals there. Puji Hegdeji is there. So we organize festivals under the Ek Bharat Shreshth Bharat scheme in different places, and I will be happy to get invitations for organizing programs in your state, that is Karnataka. It can be Karnataka state, Uttarakhand. We will be able to send cultural delegations of Karnataka to Uttarakhand and from Uttarakhand to Karnataka. We have our counterparts in other 6 zones, that is northeast, north central, south central. So we can request my counterparts to send their delegations. And I'm so happy to be part of this great event taken by the Ministry of Information Broadcasting. And I thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity part of the event. Once again, I request all the speakers to give your suggestions on the cultural aspects, how we will be able to support this great event. Once again, I express my sincere gratitude to all the participants and to the organizers for giving me this opportunity, and on behalf of the ministry and on behalf of the chairman, South Zone Culture Center, I express my sincere gratitude. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Chief Guest Professor Rachana Nautiyal, Joint Project Director, RUSA EBSB, Nodal Officer, Department of Higher Education, Uttarakhand, to speak a few words on this occasion.
Thank you. Thank you very much. A very good morning to all of you. At the onset, I congratulate the organizers for taking this initiative. This webinar welcomes Adaniya Swamiji, Shri Shrikant, Nodal Officer, EBSB, Office of the Commissioner, Department of College, Director, South Zone Culture Center, Government of India, Ministry of Culture, Tanjavur. Our resource persons, Professor A.K. Joshi from Kumaon University and Professor Lokesh, Department of Studies in History, Mangalore University, Karnataka. And all EBSB folks, dear friends. So it is, first of all, it is very talks on Ek Bharat Shreshth Bharat program should be encouraged like this, as they are highly positive and beneficial. It connects us with our legacy and arouses pride in us to talk about Ek Bharat Shreshth Bharat. This program about the cultural heritage of all the states and therefore our Rashtra Bharat. Ek Bharat means one unit. Slogan given by Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel ji, who was first Deputy Prime Minister of Azad Bharat. He served as an inspiration and guided to our country and led its integration into a united, independent Rashtra Bharat. This is a sacred mission where we have been given this privilege to exchange our festivals, culture, academics, sports, literature, tourism, food, etc. According to Census 2011, we have 1-to-1 languages with over 1,300 rationalized another language mother tongues spread over 29 states and 8 union territories. Interestingly, this vast linguistic diversity still celebrates the exact same crop seasons throughout the country. Our geography, ecology, climate binds us together in the same seasons, unique to India. Our age-old indigenous knowledge systems of Ayurveda and yoga, even our belief systems, our rituals and traditional practices, our connections with forests, our devotion for our bountiful rivers carry with them the intricate details of the same similar existence from one state to another, forming a formidable fusion. I want to highlight that by the fundamental virtue of nature itself, we are mixed together as a single unit, and this is what shapes our Bharat as Shreshtha Bharat. On behalf of the EBSB Uttarakhand, we are overjoyed to welcome our folks from paired state Karnataka. Till date, 250 students and 27 faculty members of 2 universities and 9 colleges from Karnataka have visited Uttarakhand. And both the states have shared their cultural heritage with each other. Uttarakhand cherishes these exchanges, and such learnings should intertwine into a woven fabric of our lives. We feel the warmth of our bonding with you. State would definitely like to increase this number, though EBSP online activities like quiz, pledge, photography contest, Dekho Apna Desh are in continuation. I'm sure that once we will recover from COVID-19 pandemic, more and more student exchange programs would be carried out. The gravity and sincerity of the EBSB program is quite evident, as many of the ministries at Government of India level are brought together to accomplish our mission from Ek Bharat to Shreshtha Bharat. Our genuine and earnest appreciation to all these ministries and departments. Once again, our heartfelt thanks to the Field Outreach Bureau, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Government of India, Mangalore, in association with Poornaprajna College and Postgraduate Center, Udupi, Karnataka, for organizing this wonderful webinar. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, madam. Request Sri Shrikant R, Nodal Officer, EBSB, Office of the Commissioner, Department of Collegiate Education, Government of Karnataka, to address the gathering. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, sir. Thank you very much to Field Outreach Bureau, Mangalore, and Poornaprajna College, Udupi. It's a great pleasure to be here with the program with Ek Bharat Shreshth Bharat. I was just, as the meeting started, I was just remembering like 2 years back what was, how we started Ek Bharat Shreshth Bharat in Karnataka. And just before that, I would like to thank Professor Balasubramaniam sir, Poornima madam, Rachna madam, Dr. Anil Joshi and Lokesh sir, on all the other dignitaries and all the other participants, those who are taking part in this event. Initially, when we started this program, we had a tie-up with the primary education department with Karnataka. And long back, we had taken around 150 students at one batch, starting from high school till the PG level at one batch. And we were received well at Uttarakhand, and we had a lot of programs. And even before that, we had invited the Ek Bharat Shreshth Bharat team from Uttarakhand, and they were made to visit the Dasara program at Bangalore, Mysore, sorry, with great difficulty, because it was a meeting which was a program which was arranged in a short notice, and we as a team completely worked for that complete program, and we were made arrangements to visit the Dasara program for 2 days in Mysore with inside the palace where all the kings and others used to sit. And later on, they were taken to Mangalore also. That Uttarakhand team had visited Mangalore at that point of time, and we had arranged a lot of cultural and other activities at Bangalore also. Then later on, last year, we had around 9 colleges who had visited Uttarakhand, and we were awaiting Uttarakhand teams to visit Karnataka. But meanwhile, due to this COVID pandemic, all the programs had to be rescheduled. Otherwise, by this time, I think we would have had an exchange program for more than 1,000 to 1,500 students across both the states. And whenever our teams have gone to Uttarakhand, we had great pleasure, because even the CM of Uttarakhand has attended our programs there, and the higher education minister has attended the programs. And at our end, even the Deputy Chief Minister and one program we had invited all the people from Uttarakhand, where our Higher Education Minister on the day of Swami Vivekananda Jayanti were honored on the main dais in front of almost a gathering of 20,000 students in Bangalore. So these were all the highlights, like what was happening in Karnataka and Uttarakhand. And now I request my counterpart, Madam Rachna Madam at Uttarakhand, like at least we would resume all these activities online as of now, because even colleges are closed down and universities are yet to open. Hopefully, I think we can initiate these programs online and have a lot of literary works, cultural events which can happen through online. And definitely, sir, we assure from the state of Karnataka and especially from Department of Collegiate Education, where we have around 430 government colleges and around 400 aided colleges and thousands of private colleges, where we would like to bring down a lot of students for this cultural and traditional exchange program. It's a very nice initiative of Government of India. Apart from this pandemic, I think this program could have been scaled new heights in both the states. Definitely, we will assure that we will resume this program and take it in a bigger way. And once again, I thank Poornaprajna College and Field Outreach Bureau for making this opportunity to restart the activities of Ek Bharat Shreshth Bharat, which is a wonderful program. Definitely, we will do it, sir, and we will take it forward in a bigger way. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir. Now I request one of the resource person of the program, Professor Anil K. Joshi, Department of History, Common University, Almora, Uttarakhand, to enlighten us on the theme Ek Bharat Shreshth Bharat. Before that, I request Rohit sir to introduce the Professor Anil K. Joshi sir.
Good morning all. It's my great honor to introduce today's resource person, Dr. Anil K. Joshi. Dr. Anil K. Joshi is based from Almora, Uttarakhand. His primary education completed in Lucknow. Then he completed master degree and MA, also and PhD in Sri Venkateshwara College, University of Delhi. Then he have 41 years teaching experience, and his present working as a professor, Department of History, Common University, SSS Campus, Almora, Uttarakhand. Actually, he's the interesting field, regional history of Uttarakhand, history of vernacular journalism, health and hygienic in colonial times. And he published 20 new number of papers, monographs already published. Then he under 12 number of candidates supervised for PhD. He's 12. Actually, now he is also member of Indian History Congress since 1980. Then he is served as a member of selection committee of various universities, colleges, and state public commissions. Thank you, sir. I will hand over the session to Dr. Anil K. Joshi. Sir, please.
Namaskar. Am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. You are audible. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good evening.
Well,
I'm thankful to everybody, His Highness, all the organizers, all my friends from Uttarakhand, Karnataka. It's been a great honor. It's been a matter of great pleasure to have been invited to speak. Actually, I had planned to, or rather, I had been suggested that I should present a PowerPoint. So I had sent the slides by mail to Mr. Rohit. So if he's ready to play those slides, so I can continue with my the presentation.
Yes, sir, I am ready. Once again.
You can just.
We are playing it, sir. We are playing it through our.
You have given me half an hour, so it's about 70 slides. So I'll try to rush through those slides.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Bones.
Yeah. So I have titled this Uttarakhand Down the Ages because I have been asked to present something about culture. It's very difficult to compress the entire cultural history or the cultural affiliations with other states in just half an hour. So you can consider it just a sort of survey of history. Next slide, please. Can you move the slide? Yeah, you can skip that. You can skip that. Yeah, this is the tourist map of Uttaranchal. It's an old map and it was right. Okay. So Uttarakhand, you know, is the basic relatively new state. It came up into. You're rushing through just. Could you hold back to the earliest slide? Yeah. Basically, Uttarakhand, which was earlier known as the hills of Western Uttar Pradesh, it comprises two distinct regions, Kumaon and Garhwal. And it was a new state, 28th state. It came up in 9th November 2000. So basically, historically speaking, because it is very remote, it is a hilly, tough terrain. So these two areas, Kumaon and Garhwal, remained largely secure from external incursions. They were sort of away from the mainstream. Since there were very few passes, very few entry points from where one could get access to hills, so more or less in history, we don't hear much of Kumaon. There's a very, very passing reference in the Skanda Puran and Manaskand, Kedarkand, and there are very, very scanty references in the ancient historical text. I'll just touch them. Next slide, please. Next slide. The antiquity is very, no, again, you have to hold back. The earliest slide, please. Yeah. Just hold on for a moment to the slide. The antiquity is very obscure. We don't get much historical data, authentic. There's one Kalsi inscription of Ashoka near Dehradun. Then there's a brief mention by Huen Sang regarding Goshan, which is now present-day Kashipur. Shankaracharya is reported to come here and establish temples of Kedar and Badri and Jageshwar. Then there's a passing reference by Abul Fazal in Aine Akbari. This is just a fleeting reference. Then Suleiman Shikoh, the son of Dara Shikoh, he was fleeing from Aurangzeb, so he settled a state sometime with the Raja of Garhwal, but again just stayed for 1 year. Then there was a time when the kings of Kumaon and Garhwal, the Rajas of Kumaon and Garhwal, they had some sort of hobnobbing with the Mughal emperors, but not very much. And then the Christian missionaries came around. So over and all, before the advent of British, this entire area was largely out of the national mainstream. So we don't have much authentic historical data to substantiate any of the claims made by the historians. Now, next, please. Could you move the slide? Yeah. This is the rock shelter Lakhodiya. This is a prehistoric cave, and we get about 3 or 4 the rock shelter as we know. This is prehistoric. So it's about half an hour drive from Almora. And there are such rock caves, a few in Chamoli district and a few in Almora district. So these are the earliest signs of historical activity in Uttarakhand. Lakhodiya, Udiyar means cave, and Lakh means, 1/10 of a million. So 1 lakh caves, you can say, but we didn't find more than 50 or 60. Next. Now, these are the ochre-colored images of a group dancing in these Lakhodiya images. I'm sharing just 2. There are many images, but for the sake of time, I'm showing just 2 of them. Next. This is a Kalsi inscription near Dehradun. All my friends who reside in Dehradun must have seen this. It's the only Ashokan inscription to be found in Uttarakhand. So this is the earliest written evidence, you can say. This is the earliest written evidence about Uttarakhand which we get. We haven't found anything prior to that. Next. This is a Kalsi rock edict. One of the minor rock edict, because Ashok had many major edicts, minor edicts. This is a minor rock edict. This is preserved in Kalsi and maintained by the Archaeological Survey of India. Next. Now, talking culture, we all know this is Kedarnath, and I wonder whether people in Karnataka are aware of the fact that Adi Shankaracharya came to this place and established the temples of Kedar and Badri, spread Shaivism here. He is reported to have passed away in Kedarnath. He died in Kedarnath. I mean, this is something which very few people are aware of. So it is one of the major Jyotirlingas of India, one of the 12 Jyotirlingas of India, and very famous shrine. One of the Char Dhams of Uttarakhand. And recently, a few years back, it was in news for a colossal tragedy that struck Kedarnath that had a lot of casualties. So this is a major Shiva shrine which opens for about 6 months in a year. Next slide, please. This is the Badrinath, which was again set up by. No, please hold back. The earlier slide, please. Badrinath was again established by Adi Shankaracharya, and the head priests of Badrinath are Nambudiri Brahmins from Kerala, who are called Ravals. And this tradition has persisted even today. Even the head priests are the Nambudiri Brahmins from Kerala, known as Ravals, and the selection is a hereditary procedure. It's one of the major Vishnu temples. In fact, it is one of the rare Vishnu temples in Uttarakhand, because Uttarakhand we are Shaivites. The Vaishnava population is very little, so you don't get to find very many Vaishnava temples. Majority temples are either of Shiva or of a Devi. हम लोग या तो शाक्त हैं या शैव हैं, वैष्णव जनसंख्या यहाँ बहुत कम है. Next slide, please. This is the Ganguti Temple. We know Uttarakhand, or Devbhumi as we called it, is the land of two major rivers, Ganga and Yamunotri. So Gangotri is related with Gangotri, and Yamuna with Yamunotri, two major rivers of North India. They originate from Uttarakhand. And it's a major shrine of one of the Char Dham, Badri, Kedar, Gangotri and Yamunotri, the four major religious spots in Uttarakhand. Next. This Haridwar we all know, one of the major shrines of India, holiest places of India. It is the entry point of Uttarakhand, where the Ganga enters the plains, and it is one of the four places where Mahakumbh is held. So very holy shrine, and one of the major towns now of Uttarakhand. We all know this Harki Paddy, where people take a dip on auspicious occasions. Next. Next slide, please. This is Jageshwar, again one of the 12 Jyotirlingas. Uttarakhand. No, please go back. Jageshwar. This is one of the 12 very major Shiv shrine. One of the two Jyotirlingas which are in Uttarakhand. One is Kedar, other than Jageshwar. Out of the 12, very major shrine, very beautiful architecture, all Nagar structure, all 10th century, 11th century, 9th century AD structure. So all stone and brick structure, and amid beautiful cypress and Devdar forest. It's one of the very beautiful sites in Uttarakhand. Next. This is the Sun Temple in Kedarmal. We all know in India we don't have very many sun temples. So we have one in Konark, we have one in Modhera, we have one in Patan, Gujarat. So this is again a 10th century sun temple near Almora, called Kedarmal. It's very huge and largest sun temple in Uttarakhand, and one of the major sun temples of Uttarakhand. Next. This is Gujarativa Temple in Duarah. Duarah is a small town of Uttarakhand, which used to be one time a small capital of a small principality. So this is a Gujar temple. Its architecture is different from other temples that we find in Uttarakhand. It's in a different, looks more like Konark. Next. So this is a traditional village house of Kumaon. This is a place of Ganguly Hat. We call it Bakli. It's a joint house with clan, you can say. It's a circular shape. It's made of stone with mud plastering and woodwork. No cement was available at that time. There are huge structures all over Uttarakhand. You can find them. I've just taken one house. It must be housing at least 10 to 12 families at one go. Next. This is a traditional woodwork of Uttarakhand. We find different sorts of woodwork all over Uttarakhand. I have taken just one sample of that. And the wood is basically more of a tun or devdar. And we have skilled artisans who work beautiful figures, pictures in this wood. In this thing, you can see beautiful pictures of deities, of animals in the windows, in the cornices. You can find them. Next. This is Molaram Tomar, one of the famous painters, because we got painting also. He was the originator of Pahadi Kalam or Garhwal Kalam, as we said. We know Indian paintings as many schools: Mughal painting, Rajput painting, Kangla Kalam. So this known as Garhwal Kalam or Pahadi Kalam, a sort of a branch of Kangla Kalam. So Molaram was a writer also, a dramatist also, historian also, and a very good painter, and by far the best painter we have ever known. And it was a very famous man, Barrister Mukandi Lal, who told us about Molaram. So I'll just show a few of his paintings. He was in 18th and 19th centuries. Next slide. This Pahadi Kalam, known as Pahadi Kalam also, Gadawal Kalam also. These are some paintings of Molaram. You can go to the next slide, please. This is again Radha having a bath. It's a very famous painting of Molaram. You can see the vegetable colors, the natural colors. You can see the green and the ochre and the red and the yellow. Next slide, please. Again, Molaram for you. Next. This is a traditional Cholia martial dance, which the people perform during marriages or other religious festivals. There are many dance forms in Uttarakhand, which I have just taken one because I didn't have much time to show all slides. So it's a very famous Cholia dance, and it's performed all over. It is performed at times once it was performed in Republic Day parade also. So this is performed during marriages or during important religious festivals. You can see the swords and the shields and all, and the attire. Next slide. This is the state flower of Uttarakhand, Brahma Kamal, and this is obtained at a very high altitude, right? About 10,000 and above feet. So it's a very rare plant. So that's why the government has adopted it as the state flower, the Brahma Kamal. Next. This is Rhododendron, the state tree flower, so you can say. This is called Burash also. This plant usually grows in March, April, and May, and it has very good medicinal properties. It's very commonly found. So it is the national state tree, you can say, Rhododendron or Burash. Next. This is a musk deer or Kasturi mrag. Is again found in higher altitudes. So this is our state animal of Uttarakhand. Musk deer or Kasturi mrag. It emanates an aroma of musk. Next. This is a monal or Himalayan monal. It's a very, very rare birds. These are state birds, again found in very high altitudes, above 6,000 feet above sea level. So of late, there have been a lot of hunting of monal over the years, so it has almost gone extinct. Sighting is supposed to be very rare. So just in case we can preserve it, the state government has declared it as the state bird so that we can somehow try to restore its habitat. Next. Now come to agriculture. We know hills, it's a very difficult terrain, very tough terrain. So we have terrace fields, steppes. And the main crops are wheat and paddy and the pulses, local pulses. And we have more stress on orchards because the land is not straight. We don't have straight fields. We don't have big land holdings. The orchards is a easier bet. So the Britishers, when they came, they introduced the apple, plum, peach, pear, apricot, walnut, chestnuts. These are the fruits we can develop. So a lot of our agriculture is based on developing of orchards because that's a cash crop also. And it does not require that much of hard labor as does the normal agriculture. Next slide. This is a view of terrace fields. You can see the green terrace fields ripped apart by a river. This is, this is a paddy, this thing, sowing. Right now, in monsoon, we have the paddy. And in the summers, we have the wheat. Next. This is another view of terrace field. You can see the houses, you can see the fields, and you can see a small river going across the fields. Next. Now, dietary habits. Somebody is talking about dietary habits. The staple food of we hill folks is rice. Basically, we are more into rice, and with the local pulses. There are a lot of pulses, and we usually have only 2 meals per day. One at about 8 or 9 in the morning, and then in the evening. We don't eat in the daytime. And the tea consumption is very common because it's very cold. So tea consumption leads to proper water intake. This is my take on that. So tea is very common brew out here. Next slide. So these are the pulses very commonly used. I think they are found in South India also. So some are peculiar, typical to Uttarakhand. I'll go to the next slide. Next slide, please. This is Ghat or Kulti as you call. I think this is found in Karnataka also. This has great medicinal qualities, and it is usually consumed in winters because it's said to have latent heat qualities. So we call it Gahat. In this Kulti, and I think in South also it has some name. Because I ate this dal in Bangalore also. Next slide. This is the dal made of Gahat. There are many ways of cooking it. This is one of the ways of cooking it. And it's a very common intake during winters. It is not eaten in summers, only in winters. Next. This is bhat or black soya bean. This is again a very, very commonly consumed pulse in hills because this is again consumed in the winters. Next slide. This is the dal made of bhat, we call it churkani, some call it thatwani, and usually it is taken with rice. In rice we call bhat. In Kumaoni, like in Bangla, we call bhat. So churkani bhat is a very common food in every household in Uttarakhand, especially in winters. Next slide, please. This is the madua, the finger millet. It's a coarse grain. We can compare it with ragi, which we get in plains. So you can see the poor man's wheat, you can say. It's very common in winters. It has great medicinal properties. It's supposed to be very good for health, for digestion, for cholesterol. So it's very popular. And now of late has become very popular because of its organic qualities. It's an organic food. So now we have biscuits made of madua. It's a very common grain. It is sown in October and it gets harvested in about November, December. You'll find madua in every household in Uttarakhand. Next. This is a roti made of madua. It's a very commonly eaten item in hills in every hill. Be it poor or be it rich, everybody will partake of madua ki roti during winters because it has those latent heat values. I mean, it keeps your body warm in winters. Next. This is the hemp seeds, the bhang. And the entire Uttarakhand is full of hemp trees. So these seeds, they are taken out. And again, during winters, they have that qualities to keep the body warm. So we all, villagers, they take these hemp seeds out, they crush it, and we made a sort of paste out of it, which is called chutney. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah, this is chutney, a sort of paste made of hemp seeds. And it's a very commonly eaten dish with lunch or dinner, especially during winters, very common. And again, said to have very huge medicinal qualities, medicinal properties. Next slide, please. These are tea gardens of Badrinath. Tea was introduced by the British in 1850s. So that's why tea became a very important brew in Uttarakhand. We have a huge area of history of tea gardening in Uttarakhand. This is one of the gardens in Chaubatia near Ranikhet. This photograph dates back to 19th century. Next slide. This is the oldest school, one of the oldest schools opened by the British. Now, when the British came, please hold back. When the British came, they introduced schools, modern education, modern buildings, modern health systems. So I'll be just rushing through those slides. This is the missionary school opened in Ranikhet in 1871. or 5 or 6 mission schools opened, one in Paudi, one in Almora, one in Raniket, one in Duarah, one in Tidaragarh. This is one of them. So this building dates back to almost 150 years old, one of the oldest schools in Uttarakhand. Next, these are regimental barracks which were opened built by the British all over Uttarakhand, all over Kumaon Garhwal. This is one such picture. The traditional barracks coming up in 19th century. Next, this is again an army barrack built in 1875 by the British. So now we have a shift in architecture. Now you can see this is not a Kumaoni architecture, it's a different sort of architecture peculiar to the European barracks. Next. Now this is again a barrack. This is one of the oldest and largest barracks made of please hold back. Yeah. This you can see the Himalayas background, the Trishul and the Nanda Devi you can see. This is known as Jungle Barrack. It was built in 1890s, again made of mud and stone. There's no cement involved. This house is an army unit. It's a very big barrack. So one of the largest barracks in all India. This is one of the legacies of the British rule, you can say. Next. This is the oldest church in Kumaon. This is known as St. John's in Wilderness, built in 1846 in Nanital by the person who founded Nanital, Bill P. Barron. So this church, built in 1846, is still standing and is still functional. Still prayers are offered there. So the beautiful structures. The oldest church in Uttarakhand. Next. This is the photographs of George Everest. As we all know, after whom Mount Everest is known, he was a great surveyor and one of the pioneers of the great trigonometrical survey that took in India or in Asia in the early 19th century. So George Everest had his observatory in Mysore. Mysore had been founded by that time by Captain Henry Young. So next slide, please. So this observatory was owned by Everest in Mysore, and today it's not in a very good shape, it's abandoned, but this was like that. So next slide. Sir Ronald Ross, we all have heard about him. It's a Nobel Prize winner who discovered the malaria parasite. This gentleman was born in Almora in 1858. His father was a doctor in the army, so he was born in Almora. So that's why I'm showing his picture. So one of the, you can say, a child of Uttarakhand. Next. This is the picture of Iit Roorkee, which is now Iit Roorkee. I'm talking about the legacies of the British rule, how they developed education and health. So at that time, it was known as Thomason College of Civil Engineering. This entire building was just simply college. Now it's, of course, become a Iit Roorkee. It was one of the largest colleges of civil engineering in entire Asia. It's a very good, fantastic building, more than 100 years old. Next. This is the Forest Research Institute. One of the oldest forest institutes in Dehradun. It was known as Empirical Forest Institute. It was started by a German because the Britishers didn't have an experience of forest management. So they called a German, Gunther, and he started it. It was known as Imperial Forestry College. And then it became Forest Research Institute. And now, of course, it's a deemed university. It is one of the most beautiful buildings in Uttarakhand. In fact, largest building in Uttarakhand. And a major center of forest research in all over India or even Asia. One of the greatest legacies of British rule. This was designed by a really famous architect, and it's a majestic building. You can't capture in one frame. That's why you can only see one side. It's such a huge building that you cannot capture it in a single frame with your camera. Next slide. This is the Indian Military Academy, from where all our army officers pass out in Dehradun. Again, a very good building dating back to 1930s. This is the Chetwood Hall, from all officers pass out. So again, a very enduring legacy of the colonial rule, you can say. Next. Now, Roorkee, this is the canal, Ganges Canal, because you see the British did a great job. They they had a huge canal system out of Ganges, just like Arthur Cotton did it in south in Karnataka and with Kaveri. So there was a man called Proby Cotley who built all these entire grid of canal system, Upper Ganges Canal, Lower Ganges Canal. So this is a photograph of Roorkee, where you can see a canal on the top and the river on the below. This is known as siphon. This is known as an engineering marvel. It's still there. It still exists in Roorkee. Next slide. This is Proby Cotley, very famous. He's an army officer turned engineer, and he was also a paleontologist, collected a lot of fossils. And he was the founder, he was the sort of pioneer in the entire canal system of Uttarakhand, which is still existing. So I can compare him to what Sir Henry Cotton did with the Kaveri river works. Sir Proby Cotley and Iit Roorkee, they have a bust of him in the central hall. Next slide, please. This is a leprosy mission. This is one of the oldest leprosy missions of entire India. It was started in Almora 1840. As I told you, the Britishers took a lot of interest in education also, and in medical health and hygiene also, and preventive. So lepers were in a very bad shape. The Britishers, a priest called Mr. Burden, he started this leprosy hospital in 1840, and it is still functional. So one of the oldest and largest leprosy mission asylums in India. So this is one of the good legacies of the colonial rule. Next slide, please. I am coming to home stretch now. Next slide. This is the IVRI. It was earlier known as Imperial Bacteriological Institute. It was in Pune. From Pune, it was shifted to Mukteshwar near Nanital. This building is again more than 140 years old. It was the only veterinary institute in India. So now it is now known as IVRI, Indian Veterinary Research Institute. At that time, it was known as Imperial Bacteriological Institute. It has done a great work in prevention of diseases in animals. Next. This is the government house of Nainital. When Nainital used to be summer capital of the United Provinces. This is again a building built in 1890s, built on the lines of Buckingham Palace of London. So it's one of the beautiful structures still existent in Nainital. And the governor, whenever he comes to Nainital, he or she comes to Nainital, they stay there. This is again a 19th century relic. Next. This Swami Vivekananda, you all know that. Now, why I have presented his picture here is because Swami Vivekananda has a very big connection with Uttarakhand. Next slide. When he was wandering as Narendra, when he had not become Swami Vivekananda, he has a place called Kakadi Ghat. It's a small Shiva shrine near River Kosi, where Swami Narendra is said to have attained his enlightenment. Unko gyan wahi prapt hua. And then he became Swami Vivekananda. So this is about 20 kilometers short of Almora. They're still there, and the government is managing as a historical site. This is a place where he attained enlightenment. Next slide. This is the temple at the tree under which Narendra is said to have attained enlightenment, and then, as we all know, then he became Swami Vivekananda. This was before he went to Chicago for the religious conference. This was much before we went to Chicago. So here's the connect with the spiritualism also. Next slide. Now this is Advaita Ashram in Loha Ghat, which was opened by one of the disciples of Swamiji, and Swami visited it there just 1 year before his death. So very important spiritual place in Uttarakhand, which has a connection with the Ramakrishna Mission of Bengal. Next. Rabindranath Tagore also used to come here very often, and he wrote some of the verses of Gitanjali here, staying in Almora and staying in Ramgarh. Next slide. This bungalow is known as Tagore Top. I think there's some hassle out there. Something seems to have gone wrong, I believe. Can you resume the slides, please? Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yes, sir.
I can't see the slides.
We are missing the slide, that's all. Audio is clear.
Okay. I thought it doesn't matter. I am on the home stretch. Yeah, this is the Bangalore where he stayed in Ramgarh. Ramgarh is very near to Nanital. So this is known as Tagore Top. He stayed there for a few days. Then he just to spend his summers out here. And this place is related. So he found solace and he wrote a few stanzas of Gitanjali here to set. Next slide. This is the oldest newspaper of Uttarakhand, known as Almoda Akhbar. This started in 1871 and it served the people. It's in Hindi, you can say 1871, and in 1918 closed down. So for 48 years, it was one of the major newspapers apart from Garhwali to serve the people of this area. Next. Now, Mahatma Gandhi came here in 1929. This is the only visit he made to Almoda. So there's something to do with the freedom struggle of the area. And he's surrounded by many people out here, many local leaders. So he made only one trip to Kumaon, that was in 1929, when he went to Nainital, Ranikhet, Almoda, and up to Kausani and Bageshwar. Hello? Apart from Mahatma Gandhi, his two major disciples, one was Meera Behan and one was Sarla Behan. We all know Madeline Slade was Meera Behan and Catherine Mary Hellman was Sarla Behan. It's very interesting to note that after the death of Gandhi, after assassination, both the disciples preferred to stay in Uttarakhand. Madeline Slade, Meera Behan stayed in Rishikesh and Bhilangana. She made her ashrams there. And Sarla Behan decided to stay in Kausani and Dharamgarh. It's very interesting that both his female foreign disciples, they made Uttarakhand their home. Sarla Behan in Kumaon and Meera Behan in Garhwal. So this is a very interesting insight. Next. I think we've seen that. Next. So now I'm coming to the almost end. Govindwala Pant was the most prominent freedom fighter of the region. He was the first Premier or Chief Minister of the United Provinces, then Uttar Pradesh, and he was also the Home Minister of India, Union of India, and he's the only Bharat Ratna winner from the area. He got this award in 1957. Largest political figure from Uttarakhand. Next. This is very famous poet, Sumitan Pant, and he is the only one from Uttarakhand who was awarded Gyan Peeth Award in 1970. Very famous poet, Chayavadi poet, along with Mahadev Verma and Nirala. So very known face and very known name in this area, in the field of literature, in the field of poetry. Next. And this is Ilachan Joshi, again a very famous writer and novelist. Again, very renowned, very learned, and a very well-known name in the field of Hindi literature. So I think I have been through my presentation. I thank you all. Next slide, please. I thank you all for giving me a patient hearing. I hope I have been able to satisfy what was required of me. And if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer it. Thank you very much. Jai Uttarakhand, Jai Hind.
Okay, thank you, sir. Now I request Professor Lokesh KM, Department of Studies in History, Mangalore University, Mangaluru, Karnataka, to enlighten us. Rohit sir, please introduce the resource person.
Good afternoon, everybody. Dr. Lokesh KM. He's basically from Kodagu. He completed BA, MA from Mangalore University. Also, he pursued his PhD degree from Kuvempu University 1993. His PhD topic is coffee plantation in colonial Coorg 1837 to 1947, a socio-economic study. He worked in different colleges also, like he's worked in Government Greek College, Bangalore, Poornaprajna College, Udupi, PFMK MC College, Madikeri also. He have 35 years teaching experience, and he obtained Commonwealth Postdoctoral Fellowship in 2002 to carry out research on a project titled Colonial Education in Coorg, 1834 to 1947 at South Asia Centre, Cambridge University, UK. Also in administration field, he worked as a registrar from 2016 to December 2017 as Deputy Registrar Evaluation, Mangalore University, and coordinator as an MSW course in Mangalore University. Also he has worked as Kodava Pita recently brought a Kodava dictionary, Kodava Arivolu. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Please, I will hand over the session to Lokesh, sir.
Good morning, everybody. Just give me 10 seconds or so. I will connect my slides. Please. Good morning, everybody. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are audible. Continuous.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I have been trying to connect my slides. Right now, it is not happening. Anyway, I will try. Dear friends, in the beginning, let me thank the Poornaprajna College, Udupi, as well as the Mangalore Field Outreach Bureau connected to the Department of Information and Broadcasting Ministry for giving me an opportunity to speak a few words about the cultural aspects of Karnataka. As far as the Karnataka history is concerned, as you all know, it's a very big state, one of the big states, one of the states among 30 states that we have in India. And this state has about 30 districts, and each district has its own history, own cultural peculiarity, and also other things. Dear friends, this is a very good program under which we are actually popularizing the theme Ek Bharat Shreshth Bharat, and it is also being held in the name of Sardar Patel, the man who actually played a very great role, a very crucial role in unifying Indian Union. And today we are celebrating his anniversary in the form of bringing about this kind of programs for various in various states with the intention of building up some kind of bonding between various states. Patel, as all of us know, brought about the political unity, territorial unity of India by integrating various states, the states which were unwilling and states which were willing to join the Indian Union. But now, having done the political unity, having brought about the territorial unity, now we will have to bring about the cultural unity. How to, bring about cultural unity, and that is very important. And friends, could you see the slides now? Could you see the slides now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So now it is our duty to bring about cultural unity by integrating the people of India by making a study of their culture, their history, their folklore, their music, their art and architecture, etc., etc., so that we will internally be unified, and that will go a long way in building up greater unity in India. So as far as Karnataka is concerned, as I've already told you, it is a big state, and also as far as cultural varieties are concerned, fantastic, very amazing varieties you can find, because in 30 districts, in 28 districts, you can, in 30 districts, you can see various kind of culture, whether it is the music, or whether it is food habits, or whether it is dress habits, or other things. And as far as Karnataka is concerned, since the earliest times, it had links with wider India, in the sense that it is said that during the Mauryan times, Chandragupta Maurya came down to South India, and he visited a place called Chandragiri and stayed there for some time. According to some legend, he died there only because of some famine that visited the Magadhan Empire. He had to come down to South India. So since those days, Karnataka is linked to the outer world, and we have also found a number of Ashokan inscriptions in various parts of Karnataka. For example, in Maski, in Jatinga Rameshwara, in Gavimata and other areas, we have found Ashokan inscriptions. And one interesting thing is that the names found in the Karnataka inscriptions of Ashoka, we have come across the name of Ashoka, and people do not know that Devanampriya Ashoka and Devampriya Priyadasa and Ashoka are one and the same. And from the inscription that we obtained from Karnataka, people could find out that Ashoka and Devanampriya are one and the same. And then we had great or glorious dynasty in India, Karnataka, in the form of Chalukyas of Badami. And as far as Badami Chalukyas are concerned, you know that Pulakeshi II defeated Harshavardhana of the Northern Empire, and he concluded a treaty with him. And later on, we have Rashtrakutas, who had some sway in central India and also influenced the politics of northern India. And we have then the Hoysalas, and Hoysalas, as you know, are very popular for constructing beautiful temples in various parts of Karnataka. In the same way, we had a very big empire in the name of, in the form of Vijayanagara Empire. And the Vijayanagara Empire, in fact, one of the richest empires in the world, and a large number of foreign travelers who actually came to this area have testified to the fact that it was a very, very rich empire, and culturally it made immense what's called contributions to the progress of art and architecture and other areas. And then we witness the emergence of small states, for example, Mysore and Keladi and other areas in northern Karnataka. And then in the same way, we also find the coming of the Portuguese to India, and they were trying to influence the politics in Karnataka area. And the Mysore Odayas established their sway in the 17th century in some portions of Mysore area, and the Odayas ruled the state up to 1947. Of course, there was a brief interval where you find the Sultans of Mysore by name Hyder Ali and Tipu actually running the administration for some time, and it was a period when the British actually established their sway over Bengal and also in the Madras presidency area. And later on, when they came to know that Hyder Ali was creating problem for their progress, well, they decimated him, and then Tipu Sultan took over, and as all of us know, as he was called the Tiger of Mysore, well, fought against the British, and ultimately Mysore was defeated in the year 1799, and Mysore Odayas were given back the territory by the British. So from in the 19th century, Mysore made a lot of progress in terms of modernization, we can say, and for some time in Mysore, we also see commissioners' rule because of some rebellions that took place under the Rajas, and later on Mysore was given back again to the Rajas, and famous Diwans ruled Mysore area up to 1947. And as far as the British period or colonial period is concerned, Mysore was divided into several territories: Madras Karnataka area, then what is called the Bombay Karnataka area, and then Nizam's Karnataka, and then Coorg province, it was under the British, and then what's called Mysore princely state. And during the freedom movement, a large number of political leaders came to Mysore, and they Mysore as well as other parts of Mysore, the Karnataka area, and they inspired the freedom movement against the British, against the colonial exploitation and all. And ultimately, in the year 1956, Mysore state was formed, and this Mysore state came to be called as Karnataka in the year 1973. So this is the brief history of Karnataka. And as far as Karnataka's culture and other activities are concerned, let us very briefly make a reference to that. As we see, Karnataka is inhabited by different groups of people, not just the Hindus. You have Mohammedans. Among Mohammedans, we have a large number of subsects. For example, the Mapilas, the people who actually came from Malabar area, and Barries who are in Dakshina Kannada in a large number, and also in South Canara, and in the same way Navayats who actually came from the Middle East, according to some historians, who could be found in North Canara region. So they have their own pattern of lifestyle and the food habits and all. And in the same way, we have people called Siddhis, these people, it is said, that came from Ethiopia. They came to this Maratha kingdom in the 17th century, and later on they migrated to what's called South India, to Uttarakhand district, and that is called northern North Canara. And today we can still see these people in some areas of that state and district. In the same way, we also see Tibetans who are there in Mundagodu and Mysore and in Coorg district, that is called Kushalnagar. We have a large number of tribal people like Kembatis, and then Yaravas and other people who in Coorg and in Uttara Karnataka state, and also in Dakshina Kannada. So in this way, if you look at the demographic mosaic of Karnataka, different groups of people are living in different parts of the state since medieval times, or some of them since the ancient times. They too have their own cultural peculiarities and other things. So as far as the other aspects of culture are concerned, we shall deal with that in a very leisurely manner. And as far as the cultural habits of people of concern, the geographical features have greatly influenced the lifestyle of the people. For example, you can see the coastal Karnataka region, that is Uttara Kannada and Dakshina Kannada. Here, people have their own pattern of life, and their dress habits are different, their food habits are different. And as all of us know, the people of Karnataka, in various parts of Karnataka, do not follow the same, food pattern. They do not follow the same dress habit, and also their, rituals, their cultural practices, their beliefs and all religious beliefs, they also differ. But if you look at the overall picture of this, we can definitely say that they do have a unity. Here I show the picture of the Karavali area, and Karavali in the sense coastal line. This is from South Canada, and another one is also from North Karnataka. North Canada. And next, I will show you the kings who actually ruled the Karnataka state and also Mysore. The Kittur Rani Channamma, who actually fought against the British in the 1820s. And the third man is Krishnaraja Vadayar, Nalwadi Krishnaraja Vadayar, who actually ruled over Mysore. And next is the son Jayachamara-Rajendra Vadayar. And here we see the fishing activities in Karnataka, North Canada and South Canada. And these boats actually, play a major role in thinking about economic progress in the Canara region. And since a very long time, since ancient times, these things are very popular here. And then, as far as gold is concerned, Karnataka is the only area which actually produces 90% of gold, and it has two gold fields. One is in Hatti, that is in Raichur district, and another one is in Kolar. And Karnataka, as all of us know, is one of the main, centers of minerals. It has, manganese, it has iron ore, it has gold, it has silver and other things. And it is also one of the largest exporters of, gold, you can say. And as far as religious beliefs are concerned, well, I am not going, in a topic-wise manner, but according to the slides I will go. Here you have Basavanna, one of the persons who actually, laid a foundation for the emergence of what is called a new religion called Veerashaivism in the 12th century. And the Basavanna actually, preached a casteless society. He was a statesman and at the same time a philosopher, and also he tried to destroy social discrimination and bring about a casteless society. And his followers are today called Lingaites and Veerashaivas, and they have their own pattern of food habits and dress habits and also rituals. And Kudala Sangama is the place where he actually became one with Shivalinga, and it is a great tourist center in northern Karnataka. And as far as social reforms are concerned, we have Haradasas also, people who actually sang songs in honor of Vishnu, and one is the Purandaradasa, another one is the Kanakadasa, and though they hail from the downtrodden classes, they enlightened people about the social taboos and the caste taboos and try to remove them. And also they preached bhakti and asked people to find God through bhakti and everything. And Karnataka, as all of us know, is one of the greatest centers of the evolution of music, whether it is Hindustani tradition or whether it is Dakshinadi traditions. Karnataka immensely contributed to various traditions. For example, Hindustani traditions, we have Gangubai Anagal, we have Bhimchen Joshi, we have Ventesh Kumar, we have Mallikarjun Mansu, and also a large number of other people. And also in Karnataka music, also we have several great people, and no state in India has contributed so much for the evolution and progress of Hindustani music as the Karnataka has done. And this is the only state where you can find two classical traditions. And then as far as Karnataka is concerned, one of the very prestigious things is that a large number of people actually won Jnanapita Award for their literary skills. And in fact, Karnataka, Dharwad is known as the place of, it's the motherland of poets or literators. And here you can find Kuempu, one of the well-known persons in India. And then you have Shivarama Karand, V.K. Goka, Chandrasekhar Azar, Kambar, and then Girish Karnad, as all of us know, he was also an actor, also a dramatist. And all these people have received Jnanapita Award, and they brought great laurel and glory to our state. And as far as Karnataka is concerned, one of the major factors which is contributing to the transformation of its economy is what are called the resorts, homestays and resorts, especially in the hilly districts. Because as you know, Karnataka is divided into three geographical areas. One is the coastal area, Karnataka, and it actually runs from north to south. And in parallel with that, you have Western Ghats, and to the west of the, east of Western Ghats, you have Deccan Plateau area, where you find northern Karnataka region. And in the hilly areas of Karnataka, you find a large number of resorts and also plantations, whether it is in Chikmagalur district, whether it is in Mudugere, or whether it's in Kodagu district, a tiny hilly district which is known for coffee. You have resorts, beautiful resorts are there, and it is not only receiving a large number of tourists, but also it is a place for the people who are fed up with the urban life to have some tranquility or some peace of mind in these areas. And next we have what's called the monuments. And Karnataka, as I told you, had been ruled by a large number of dynasties. And one thing that we have to remember about Karnataka is that it was a rich state from the very beginning, from ancient times itself, through medieval Egypt to modern period. Karnataka enjoyed, relative peace and tranquility, and it was not invaded by foreign invaders or invaders from outside Karnataka many a time. Therefore, the peace and tranquility that Karnataka enjoyed for a very long time also allowed the people to focus on intellectual pursuits and philosophical ideas, because the land, the black soil as well as red soil that we have in Karnataka, contributed to the growth of agriculture, and the coastal regions contributed for the growth of trade and commerce. And these two aspects immensely, helped the Rajas or the royal families who had a taste for artistic things to focus on literature, to focus on music, to focus on art and architecture, sculpture, painting, and all. If you go to Mysore, or if you go to Bangalore, or if you go to other areas, you can definitely come across, and you to North Karnataka, that is Bijapur, Gulbarga, Raichur, or Belgaum, you come across monuments, colossal structures of temples and all. So here you can see architectural wonders, that is Badami cave temples, in the same way Hampi Virupaksha temple, which is world famous and also a world UNESCO heritage center, and also Pattadakal, Badami, Aihole, all these things. And these are all wonders, we can say, and they are attracting a large number of people to Karnataka. And next we have another slide. There we see some of the temples of the North Karnataka and some of the temples of South Karnataka also, Belur, Halebeedu, and Somanatha. As you know, these temples were built by the Hoysalas in South India, and in North Karnataka, in South Karnataka, and in North Karnataka, they were built by the Chalukyas of Badami and all, and they are worth seeing. And next we have the Bahubali statue, which was built by the Gangas, and you can see it in Shravana-Belogola. As I told you earlier, Chandragupta Maurya, when he was told that famine is going to visit the empire, well, he came along with his Guru Bhadrabahu to this place, Chandragiri in Hassan district, and settled there. And this statue, which was built in the 10th century AD, is one of the monolithic, freestanding monolithic statues, you can say, and it is about 57 height. And Jainas, a large number of Jainism followers who are in Karnataka are Jains, regularly visit this place. At the same time, once in 12 years, the Mahamastakabhisheka of this Bahubali statue takes place, and from all over the world people throng, and you can see in one of these slides, Mahamastakabhisheka, or the anointing of the statue taking place. So this is one of the wonders of India, you can say, definitely. Since 1,000 years, this freestanding statue, is attracting hundreds of thousands of people every year, and the tradition of Mastakabhisheka has been continuing since a very long time. And as far as Mysore is concerned, we know that Mysore state was one of the princely states, and it was one of the model states of India. And the British used to call it a model state. And here, the Rajas who inherited the traditions of Vijayanagara, military traditions or other traditions, regularly held Dosa during the period of Navaratri. And during this Dosa procession, you see the goddess of Mysore being taken in a procession, and it attracts the people from all over the world. This tradition, which is very old, more than 300 to 400 years old, is still continuing, and people who have great love for the royal family, observe this tradition without fail in the Mysore area. And we have a place called Coorg or Kodagu, which is a hill district. And as all of us know, Coorg is one of the very interesting places. Its culture, its traditions, its way of worship, its religious beliefs, etc., are to a great extent different from other areas. And even the people look different to some extent, and their dress habits, their food habits are also different from other people in Karnataka or other areas of Karnataka. It's a hill district, and the British, because of its salubrious climate, occupied it in the year 1834, and since then up to 1947, this Coorg was under the control of the British only. It was treated as one of the resorts for the British who used to come there during the period of summer from other areas and settle there. And a large number of coffee estates were raised by the British, and it is said that the tribal people of Coorg or Kodavas underwent a change during the British period. So educationally they underwent a change, even culturally also, though they underwent a change. It is said that they are still, very much rooted in their traditions. Here you can see the Coorg jewelry and also the Kodava dance that here what we see is that the Konkan, Gauda Saraswata Brahmins. So in South Canada, you have the Gauda Saraswata Brahmins. In North Canada also you have Gauda Saraswata Brahmins, and they speak Konkani language. And many people say that they came from the Gauda Desha and settled here. They use fish, and these are some of the delicacies that they produce. And this marriage system also very peculiar, and it's very interesting to observe. These Gaudasas Brahmins actually were in a large number in Goa, but when the Portuguese came there and started imposing Christianity there, and also started persecuting them in the form of Inquisition, a large number of Gaudasas Brahmins actually migrated to South Canada, and South Canada is known as one of the centers of the Gaudasas Brahmins, and also their cultural center. Another interesting thing is that the Gaudasas Brahmins, not only Gaudasas Brahmins, but also the Punt community, the agriculturist community in South Canara at that time, went to Bombay in a large number since employment opportunities were not available, and I will come back to that. And here you can see another group of people called the Siddhis, who actually came from the Maratha areas, and now they could be found in Yellapur of Uttarakhand district, and government of Karnataka is helping them in a variety of ways. And in the sports academy, their boys and girls are being trained to become sports persons, and they have their own peculiar habits, though they are in a great extent Indianized, and also they speak the local languages. To a great extent, they retain their cultural habits. And here we have the dances, folk dances that could be found in different parts of Karnataka. So as we know, Karnataka is also known for various kinds of dances. Each district, out of 30 districts, you can in each district you find different dances. Here Dollu Kunita is there, Suggi Kunita is there, Viragase is there, and Nagamandala is one of the famous ritual procedures that the people of South Canara follow here, and this is a very interesting thing to see. And then in South Canara and also in other parts of Karnataka, where agriculture is very much in vogue, and where people actually till their fields during the rainy season play this kind of buffalo race and other. In South Canara, it is called Kambala, and also fish catching competitions also take place during the beginning of the monsoon that could be found here. And then, as far as Karnataka is concerned, here the Muslim population is also there in a huge number. And here you can see two great places where the regular Urs actually takes place. Urs means once in a year the Muslims actually congregate here to celebrate their festivals. And one is Bandir Nawaz Dargah in Gulbarga, and another one is Ullal near Mangalore. And Christian population could be found in many places of Karnataka, in Bangalore, in Mysore, in South Canara. In South Canara, it could be seen in a large number because of the migration of people from Goa area and also from Bombay. And the church which we can see is none other than the Saint Philomena Church in Mysore. And next we have the Sikh community who are who actually live in Bidar area. Their Gurudwara could be seen here. And as far as the Jains are concerned in South Canara, it is one of the areas. South Canara is one of the areas where Jain population is there in a huge number, and this is called the 1,000-pillar structure, or Savira Kambada Basadi, and that is in Mudbidre, and it also a well-known place of tourist attraction. And here, temples in Karnataka. You can see a number of great temples in the same way as you can see in Tamil Nadu. Here, the Gokanatheshwar temple in Mangalore and Udupi Matha, that is the area where you find Ashtamatas, and the Swamiji who inaugurated this session, lives here, Ashtamata area. And then Subramanyam, this is a very famous center of pilgrimage. Then Kollur, then Nanjundeshwara temple, that is in Nanjangudi area, and other temples. So a large number of temples could be seen in Karnataka, in different parts of Karnataka. This shows that the people who focus on the present life also always mulled or thought about the other world. So this world and other world, and this other world, focusing on other world actually made them to construct temples in various parts of Karnataka. Therefore, we come across well-known temples in different parts of Karnataka, whether it is Shiva temple or Vaishnava temple or temples devoted to other gods or goddesses. And then coming to the eatables, other delicacies, well, you know that some of the delicacies actually carry the place names here. and one is Mysore Masala Dosa. This is very famous, and Mysore Pak is also many people be knowing that. And this is Coorg cuisine, and here Coorg cuisine you have rice balls and also rice rotis and other dishes made of rice, because in Coorg rice is very popular, and therefore their stress is more on rice is a staple food, and whatever delicacy they prepare, it will be more of rice only. And then as far as other things are concerned, well, as I told you, Karnataka has given a large number of actors from to Bollywood, and here you have Anushka Shetty from South Canara, Sunil Shetty from South Canara, and Aishwarya Rai from South Canara, and Deepika Padukone, who is a Konkan Brahmin from South Canara. In the same way, Shilpa Shetty, Frida Pinto, and of course Firoz Khan is from Bangalore, Rajinikanth is from Bangalore. So people during the colonial period from South Canara went to Bombay in search of jobs. They could not go to Madras presidency because of lack of communications, but they went more. They preferred Bombay more than any other areas, and therefore in Bombay you find the Karnataka culture going there and influencing the people, because whatever what else you see in Bombay or in Madras and other areas would be hotels. They're all from South Canara only, Udupi district only, and South Canara has played a very important role in the progress of the economy of Karnataka. And then we have other delicacies also, as Dharwad Vada or Madhu Vada, Dharwad Peda and Mysore pickles, etc., etc. So if you look at these things, and this is northern Karnataka's delicacies, Jowar roti and other things. People of Karnataka are both vegetarian and non-vegetarian, and rice is a staple food in South Karnataka. And as far as North Karnataka is concerned, you have Jowar as the staple food. In South India, in South Karnataka, ragi is also one of the staple food, and a variety of other delicacies also they prepare. So, in conclusion, what we can say is that Karnataka, since ancient times, has been influenced by the Indian culture, because many people from different parts of India visited Karnataka, and they brought with them their culture, their ideas, their philosophical ideas and all, and whatever they actually sowed it in Karnataka, it bore very good fruit, and it influenced the culture of India. Even Ramanujacharya actually came to Karnataka and took shelter, and his ideas became very popular. So Shankara, Madhva, Ramanuja, all these people influenced the religious traditions of Karnataka. Basavanna also influenced the religious traditions of Karnataka. Sikhs came to Karnataka. Siddhis came to Karnataka. Navaites came to Karnataka. So different parts of. So this shows that Karnataka culture is not only being influenced by various kinds of dress habits, food habits, but also their thinking was influenced. The thinking of the Kannadigas, the people of Karnataka, was also influenced by this, and this actually helped them to develop a secular spirit, the spirit of Sarva Dharma Samabhava. What we say, that also influenced these people to a very great extent. And in conclusion, what we can say is that Karnataka produced a number of poets, and one poet by name Kuempu actually wrote a song about the nature of Kannada culture, and in that he says that Jaya Bharata Jananiya Tanujate, Jaya He Karnataka Mate, Jaya Sundara Nadi Vanagala Nade, Jaya He Rasa Rushigala Bide. So victory to you, Mother Karnataka, the daughter of Mother India. Hail the land of beautiful rivers and forests. Hail the abode of science and seers. And Bhudeviya Mukutada Navamaniye and Gandada Chandada Hunnina Ganiye Raghava Madhusudana Avatarishita Bharata Jananiya Tanujate, a new jewel in the crown of goddess earth, You are a trove of sandalwood, beauty and gold. Victory to you, Mother Karnataka, the daughter of Mother India, where Rama and Krishna have had their incarnation. So the same poet, preached the Vishwamanava concept. So Vishwamanava, our universal man. So Kuvempu always said that, when a child is born, it actually takes birth as a universal man, or because of caste, creed, or belief, or religion. As he grows, he becomes a petty man. And now, through education, through providing enlightenment, we have to make that man again a universal man. So education plays a very important role here. And this kind of understanding, this kind of sharing of ideas about our culture, this kind of exchange of our thinking, our ideas, our knowledge about culture, about traditions, about thinking, I think makes will have a very healthy impact on the minds of the Indians, and every Indian will think that we are one. So when they think we are all one, I think India will become not only Ek Bharat, it will become Shreshtha Bharat. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Now we will move on to the question of the session. Here is question from Anil Joshi. His question to Professor Lokesh Monappa, sir. As someone who has seen almost the entire Karnataka, it was a sad disappointment at the Hampi. It can do with some improvements. Trust the ASI is the seized of the fact and gives Hampi a serious fact lift. Okay, sir.
I didn't catch the point. Just a minute.
Okay. Anil Joshi question is, okay, as someone who has seen almost entire Karnataka, it was disappointed at Hampi. It can do with some improvement. Trust the ASI is seized of the fact and gives Hampi a serious face lift.
Yeah, definitely. Hampi has been neglected, and it is considered as a heritage center by UNESCO, and it attracts hundreds of thousands of tourists, not only from all over India, but also from all over the world. And if you go there, you can see more number of foreigners than Indians. And the maintenance is very poor there. And once in a year, Hampi Utsava takes place, Hampi festivity takes place. But the area has not been properly maintained. And I think we should develop a sense of what's called respect, a sense of honor for the cultural heritage of our country. Unless you have that kind of mentality or a respect for your cultural heritage, I think we are bound to lose them. And most of the, if you go to foreign countries, even a small statue of ancient period will be maintained in a good manner. But if you come to India, though you have priceless structures and all, nobody cares a hoot for that. And this, I think, needs a very dedicated, set of people who can preserve this in a what's called perfect manner for our posterity. So I think Professor Arun Joshi can write to SI, requesting ASI to focus more on the renovation of this area. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. I think all the queries answered by the Anil Joshi, sir. Now we move on to the end of the session. Okay. Every beginning has an end, and every end has a new beginning. With this, I would like to conclude today's webinar. Let me now propose vote of thanks. First, I want to express my deep sense of gratitude Sri Sri Vishwapriya Tirtha Swamiji, President, Udupi Sri Admarmat Education Council, Udupi, for blessing this program. Next, I thank Dr. G.S. Chandrasekhar and Sri Pradeep Kumar sir for your help. I thank Professor M. Balasubramaniam for inaugurating the program. Next, I thank Dr. T.C. Poornima for introduction speech. I thank chief guest of this program, Professor Rachana Nautiyal and Srikanth R for their support. My sincere thanks are due to resource person of the program, Professor Anil K. Joshi and Professor Lokesh KM for their enlightened talk. I also thank Dr. Aarti Dikshit, Principal, MKP PG College, Dehradun, Uttarakhand, Dr. Shashi Purohit, Principal, Indira Priyadarshini Government Girls PG College, Commerce, Haldwani, Dr. Chandra Ram, Principal, RH Government PG College, Kashipur, Uttarakhand. I also thank Dr. Raghavendra Sir, Principal, and technical support by Ms. Madhu, Gopal M. Gokhale, Danya Madam, and Atul Bhatt. Last but not the least, I thank all the participants and wish all of you all the best.